Call this meeting to order. It is 6 p.m. This is the April 2nd, 2025 regular meeting of the Schertz Planning and Zoning Commission. Item number 1 was the call to order. Item number 2 is the seat alternate to active required. We have Commissioner Wallace with us this evening. Item number 3, hearing of residents. Anybody? Nobody? No emails? Nothing? Nope. Okay. Did you folks want to sign up for hearing of residents, or are you here for a public hearing? Okay. All right, so moving on to number 4, the consent agenda. We have a single item. Minutes for the March 5th, 2025 Planning and Zoning Commission regular meeting. Commissioners, does that need to be pulled for discussion? If not, can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Who was that? Okay. Commissioner Wallace?
Second.
And second from Commissioner Hector. If there's no discussion on the consent agenda, please record your votes. Oh, make sure your vote's still there, because I pushed the clear button, so make sure it's still there, okay? Okay, I see 7 votes. Publish that, please. We have 7 ayes, none opposed. That motion passes. Thank you. Item number 5, public hearing. We have 3 of those this evening. The Planning and Zoning Commission will hold a public hearing related to zone change requests, specific use permit requests, and Unified Development Code amendments within this agenda. The public hearing will be open to receive a report from staff, the applicant, the adjoining property owners affected by the applicant's request, and any other interested persons. Upon completion, the public hearing will be closed. The commission will discuss and consider the application. May request additional information from staff or the applicant if required. After deliberation, the commission is asked to consider and act upon the following requests and make a recommendation to City Council if necessary. So item 5A is PLZC 2025-0040. Is that the one that was withdrawn? But it was posted for a public hearing, so how do we want to do that? You want to give your presentation, or just let me open it up for public comment?
Up to you. I can show you where it is, but it will be back here in May.
Is that the one you folks are here for? No? Okay. All right, well, let me open it up real quick, then we'll skip the staff presentation. We'll open it up for public comment. Anybody wishing to address the commission? Nobody. Nobody? Nobody. Okay. Public hearing is closed, and the commission will take no action on that this evening, so we'll move on to item B. PLZC 2025-0017, hold a public hearing and make a recommendation on a request to rezone approximately 3.5 acres of land from pre-development district to general business district 2, generally located 1,700 feet west of the intersection of IH-10 East Access Road and Trainer Hill Road, more specifically known as Bexar County Property ID number 339775, City of Schertz, Bexar County, Texas. Daisy?
Good evening, Commissioners. PLZC 2025-0017, a proposed zone change to GB2 along IH-10. Daisy Marquez, planner. Here's the subject property outlined in yellow. It is located along IH-10, and over here to the far right is Trainer Hill. So the subject property is currently zoned pre-development district, and as you all know, pre-development district is more of a placeholder. The property is currently undeveloped. To the north is agricultural district. It is used for some sort of ag. And then to the south, we have the IH-10 East Access Road right-of-way. To the east, we have pre-development district, which again is supposed to be a placeholder, but there is an auto shop and restaurant there. And then to the west, again, is pre-development district, and there's a recreational vehicle park. So we sent out 5 public notices on March 21st, and we have not received anything back in response to that. A public hearing notice will be published in the San Antonio Express prior to the City Council meeting. Notice signs were placed along the right-of-way, and we notified fire, EMS, and police. And again, this is the subject property. They are requesting to go from pre-development district to general business district 2. It is approximately 3.5 acres, and per the letter of intent, they are requesting GB2 to enable the property owner to determine the most advantageous use of that property. So here are the dimensional requirements. Again, pre-development is supposed to be meant as a placeholder for newly annexed properties. GB2 does have those dimensional requirements, 100 by 100, 10,000 square feet minimum, and those building setback requirements, maximum height of 120 and maximum impervious coverage of 80%. So when we look at zone changes, we look towards UDC section 2154D for the criteria of approval. So 1, whether the proposed zone change implements the policies of the adopted comprehensive land use plan or any other applicable adopted plan. So this whole area is designated as regional corridor, and that is meant for more commercial and entertainment type of uses along major thoroughfares, things like shopping centers, department stores, restaurants, movie theaters, and supermarkets. So really think about that commercial intersection along FM 1103 and IH35, where we have things like Walmart, eating places, places to shop. And regional corridor traditionally aligns with things like general business districts, so GB, and GB2 does not promote the intent of regional corridor. So 2, whether the proposed zoning change promotes the health, safety, and general welfare of the city. GB2 allows for commercial and industrial uses, and the industrial uses allowed in GB2 do not align with that regional corridor land use designation, which ultimately does not promote the recently adopted comprehensive plan. 3, whether other uses permitted by the proposed change will be consistent and appropriate with existing uses in the immediate area. So again, kind of looking bigger picture in the larger area from FM 1518 as seen here above, all the way to Trainer Hill, that whole area is designated as regional corridor. And again, we were envisioning that area as things with commercial businesses. And as you can see, we already have some general business district zone properties as seen here with the stars in that area. And then the pre-development designated properties are ones that were annexed back in the day, and the ones that are agricultural district today are the ones that were more recently annexed. So 3, whether the uses permitted by the proposed change will be consistent and appropriate with existing uses in the immediate area. So this property and the ones immediately adjacent to it were annexed in 2010 with ordinance 10820, and that's how they ended up with that pre-development district designation. And the uses that are happening now adjacent to the property are not compatible with the recently approved comprehensive plan. So 3, again, just showing you and listing the following uses that are permitted by right in GB2 but do require an SUP in GB. So things like a dry cleaner, flea market, mixed-use self-storage, rehabilitation care facility, truck terminal, veterinarian clinic, kennel, outdoor. And then this is a list of those GB2 uses that are allowed by right but are not allowed in general business district. So these are more of those industrial uses that GB2 starts allowing, like general manufacturing industrial use, mini warehouse public storage within approved SUP, portable building cells within approved SUP, truck sales heavy equipment, and a recycling collection center. 4, whether other factors are deemed relevant and important in the consideration of the amendment. So the Planning and Zoning Commission and City Council have not provided additional criteria for the proposed zone change, but that's why we're here today. And the City of Schertz Fire and EMS and police departments have been notified of this proposed zone change, and the City of Schertz Fire Department provided concerns over the zone change allowing a multitude of industrial uses in the area. So staff recommends now the proposed zone change due to the allowed industrial uses within the GB2 zoning district not being compatible with the regional corridor land use designation of the comprehensive land use plan. And the applicant is here to listen, or if you have any specific questions for them.
All right. Thank you, Daisy. Does the applicant wish to make a presentation? Not required. Oh. All right. Well, with,
You can, Commissioner Outlaw, you can table it into after the next agenda item if you'd like.
well, that's what I was just gonna ask if anyone would object to moving this one and moving on to item C and then coming back to B.
I think,
Would that be all right? Okay. All right, so we'll come back to item B. So item C, PLZC 2025-0056, hold a public hearing to make a recommendation on a request to rezone approximately.
Commissioner Outlaw, sorry,
Yes.
you have to make a motion to table that.
I'll motion to table PLZC 2025-0017.
Second.
Any discussion? Please record your vote. All right, publish that vote. We have 7 ayes, none opposed. That motion passes, and next time you don't get to come to the webinar, okay?
Okay.
Well, see, if somebody had told me that before we got started, I'd have just exercised my own discretion and skipped B and gone to C, okay? So, all right. Item C, PLZC 2025-0056. Hold a public hearing and make a recommendation on a request to rezone approximately 1.3 acres of land from pre-development district to single-family residential / agricultural district, more specifically known as Bexar County Property ID number 310235, also known as 9126 Trainer Hill Road, City of Schertz, Bexar County, Texas. Speak slowly, okay?
Good evening,
We
Commission.
drag this out a little bit. Go ahead.
Sounds good. I'll speak
Go ahead.
nice and slow. PLZC 2025-0056, a proposed zone change to RA on Trainer Hill Road, William Willingham, planner. For your orientation, this is the subject property with the aerial view, so you can see it outlined in yellow there. You see the surrounding zoning districts here. So we have the subject property is currently zoned as pre-development district with the residents on site. To the north of the property, we have the Schertz ETJ, which is currently being conducted as a welding machine shop. To the south, we have the Trainer Hill right-of-way. It is currently categorized as a secondary arterial road. And to the east and west, we also have 2 other pre-development districts, both with residences on site as well. 9 public notices were sent out on March 19th, 2025, and 1 was also sent to SCUC ISD. As of today, we have 0 responses in favor, neutral to, or in opposition of the development. A public hearing notice will be published in the San Antonio Express prior to City Council hearing, and a notification sign was placed on site by the applicant. Background on the case, the proposed zoning change. So you can see here in this exhibit that we have it currently zoned as pre. They're requesting to rezone to RA. You can kind of see in the surrounding area that there are other RA districts in this area, as well as agricultural and other pre-districts. The current conditions of the site, so this is just a street view of the site. You can see there, the house is the middle one right there. It is currently serviced by on-site septic, as are the neighboring properties in this area. It is located within the Schertz Sewer CCN. However, there are no sewerage lines out there at this time, and that is the reason for those septics. Some more background on the site and context. You can just see how rural the area is at this time. So it is surrounded by RA homes, pre-development districts. We see some farmland also zoned on site as well, or around the area. The photo on the right is showing you what is directly across from the property that's requesting the rezone. And then just for some context there at the bottom again, it's that same photo showing what the neighborhood looks like at this time. The existing zoning district of pre-development district has a number, or no dimensional requirements. It has 3 permitted uses, primarily places of worship, which is specially use permitted, and then municipal uses or a school, public or private. There are no lot requirements, there are no maximum heights, there's no impervious coverage. Whereas the requested zone for a single-family residential agricultural district has a number of permitted uses that the applicant can request. The applicant's intent is to have a single-family home. There are lot requirements, so it must be a ½ acre, and there are setback requirements as well. UDC Section 2154D, criteria for approval. The first criteria, whether the proposed zone change implements the policies of the adopted comprehensive land plan or any other applicable adopted plans. So this area is currently designated as a mixed-use center. It is a combination of uses to include residential, office, and commercial uses. The applicant is requesting a single-family residential agricultural district. Agricultural land on a minimum of ½ acre lots is intended for this area, also homes with, or lots with limited utility access. And the comprehensive plan is a guiding document for the long-range vision of Schertz at this time. The requested zone change for RA and the owner intent to construct a single-family home does not presently change the existing character of the surrounding area. Second, whether the proposed zoning change promotes the health, safety, and general welfare of the city. As part of promoting health, safety, and welfare, the city should encourage development compatible with surrounding uses, utilizing standards and transitional uses to alleviate negative impacts. RA is intended for areas where development is premature due to lack of utilities, and as I discussed previously, the subject site and neighboring properties are not connected to sewer at this time, and the applicant's intent to construct a single-family home is compatible with the surrounding uses, so just kind of we can see there on that exhibit once again, there are a number of RA uses already in that area. Third, whether the uses permitted by the proposed zone change will be consistent and appropriate with the existing uses in the immediate area. So as we see, the subject property in the surrounding area is rural in character. It is one of 8 neighboring properties of about 1.3 acres of land, each with a residence on site. And so you can see here in the permitted uses table, just kind of ones that are related most specifically to this site would be manufactured homes, single-family dwellings, and a public school or a stable. And the UDC Section 2112 outlines that there must be minimization of conflicts between uses of land and building, and a single-family home or the specific district RA is not in conflict with. Fourth, whether the other factors are deemed relevant and important in the consideration of the amendment. All UDC requirements have been met for this proposed zone change, and the Schertz Fire, EMS, and police departments have been notified of the zone change and have provided no objections to the request. Due to the rural character of the surrounding area, the limited utility availability, and the related development regulations associated with single-family residential agriculture district RA, staff is therefore recommending approval of PLZC 2025-0056. And I'm available for questions.
All right, thank you. Is the applicant here?
The applicant is not here today.
Not here, okay. All right, let's see, it is a lot of glare on that clock, 6:18. And I will open the floor for public comment. Anyone wishing to address the commission on this topic is welcome to step forward. No, sir, you need to come up. You need to come up to the microphone, state your name and address for the record, and then you have 3 minutes.
Oh, yeah, it doesn't take long. It's Todd Harrison, 9150 Trainer Hale Road, so 2 properties over from there. We're trying to sell our property. And right now, we've been held up for about a year because of the proposed changes, which we have no idea what that exactly means. Realtors are going, we can't really help you until there's some definition to us. This is more than I've ever seen from any publication that's been sent to us. So we're kind of in a hold bind, basically. So we're just trying to figure out what's going on. You know, We've seen our property value skyrocket. We've seen them drop way low. We've seen our taxes shoot through the roof, even with getting a, homesteader's exemption. It just went right back up again the very next year. So we're just trying to figure out what we need to do from our end with this, and does this going to affect us trying to actually sell our property? Because at this point, we'd love to just bulldoze our house down and sell the 1.3 acres, basically, but we're going to hold up because we have no idea what's going on, basically. And that's what we're just here trying to figure out. Because the last one, we didn't get the notice until after the actual hearing for the first time it was actually brought up. You know, I'm not blaming anybody but the post office on that.
All right.
One, but yeah, so
Okay. All right, thank you, sir.
are we going to address that, or?
Yeah, once it's a one-way conversation at this point. So,
So how do I get that addressed? Okay, cool.
anyone else?
Anthony Merritt is my name. Nice to meet you all. In reference to PLZ C202-500-56, the subject property enjoys a pre-distinction. Is that right? It's a one-way discussion, so I'm not asking questions, I guess. So it enjoys a pre-designation, and the purpose was a question, which was how long has it enjoyed that pre-designation? Perhaps was it 183 days or maybe shorter, perhaps more. That's all.
Thanks. Anyone else? Going once? Going twice? It is 6:22 and public comment is closed. Sam, you want to address those questions before we get started up here, or? Let me ask a quick question. This is your property?
No, ours is 2 properties down.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I could definitely just have a discussion with y'all here in a few minutes. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sorry, I missed the second question from, was it about?
Well, I think he asked how long this had been pre-development.
I don't have that information in front of me at the moment, but I could tell you that the pre-designation happened with the prior round of annexations, basically
Right.
the annexations that occurred, not the ones that just happened last year, but the ones previous to that.
Yeah.
When things came in, they were just given the pre-designation. So that, I'm sorry? 2010, so probably around that time, yeah.
And typically what happens when we annex a piece of property or a portion, it's given the pre-development designation, and whatever is there at the time is a non-conforming use, and it's generally not an issue until somebody wants to do something with the property, whether they want to build another house or subdivide or something like that. So, you know, it's not unusual for a piece of property to carry that pre-development tag for quite a while. Okay? Does that help? Okay. All right, commissioners, your turn. Mr.
Yeah,
Wallace?
I had a question. So you had mentioned it was in the sewer network, for lack of a better term. Is there planned improvements for this area or at some point?
I had a quick discussion with engineering, and so just from what I understand, this area is kind of complicated, I guess, is what I gather. That there's some development that's going on with 1518 right now.
Okay.
And the nearest connections right now to any sewerage is about 2,000 in either direction, 2,000 feet in either direction. But from what I understand is that it's not even certain that they could make those connections to either of those existing lines at this time, just
Okay.
due to capacity, due to construction.
But so with that, is part of their, so like if they came in, they filed like permits, they wouldn't be required to improve sewer in any way as a result of that?
From what I understand, I believe they'll have to request the waiver, and
Okay.
then when they're plating,
Uh-huh.
then
That was
they'll
gonna be my
probably
next
go
question.
ahead.
Yeah, we have a requirement that if you're within 500 feet of a sewer facility, then you're obligated to connect. So they are over that by a lot, so they're not required to. Yeah, and that's how our code reads. It's 500 feet for residential, and I believe it's 1,500 feet for commercial.
Okay, perfect. That's it.
And they presently have on-site septic, so.
Yeah, I didn't want to, I wanted to make sure that they didn't, as a result of this, they weren't then obligated to then.
No, I don't think so.
Connect to the sewer.
So that was correct assumption. They're not going to have to connect.
Anyone else?
No.
No? All right, this is a recommendation to City Council to approve, deny, or approve with conditions. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve PLZC 20250056.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to recommend approval of PLZC 2025-0056. Is there any further discussion? If not, please record your vote. All right, I have 7 votes. Can you publish that, please? I have 7 ayes and none opposed. That motion passes. All right, I suppose we need a motion to take the item B off the table. Is that right?
So moved.
All right, let's see. Okay,
Second.
hang on a second. Don't get ahead of me here. Okay, so I had a motion from far end and a second from Commissioner Bro. So I guess untable item PLZC 2025-0017 for consideration by the commission. Is there any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, please record your vote. All right, I have 7 votes. You publish that, please. Seven ayes, none opposed. That motion passes. So, where did we leave off here? Daisy, you gave your presentation, right? And then I asked whether or not the applicant would like to make and that's when you asked for the delay. So does the applicant wish to? Okay. I can't hear you sitting out there like that, so if you.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name's Jose Cantu. I'm with LJ Engineering. I'm representing Anthony here is the realtor. Jeff is the owner for this property. Basically, our presentation, or more of a conversation we want to have with y'all, is we understand the corridor situation, which has been kind of the basis for the denial. The issue with that is that the infrastructure for that area is non-existent for us to actually do something like that. It's a 3.5 acre property. Technically, if we wanted to do a retail center kind of mercantile stuff, it would be about close to a 40,000 square foot worth of commercial. And there is no sewer near us within the 1,500 feet. It's only a 3 acre property. So for us to even do a 2,000 linear foot main extension, you're talking about probably 700,000 plus easement acquisitions. This property was purchased back when it was it with the county before, and then it got annexed?
Yes.
And so under the current pre-development, it's basically a non-developable piece of property. So therefore, it doesn't even carry any value until we actually assess a use for it. That's kind of the bigger thing, the bigger item we have. Obviously, the area kind of carries a industrial kind of use. I mean, according to everything along I-10, you have Bear County across the street that doesn't have any zoning, so that's bombarded with tons of, 18-wheeler traffic, all that. It's kind of, that's what it lends itself. Right there, 1604 and 35, I-10, 410 and I-10, all that is kind of going to Houston. That's kind of what the market states. So that's kind of what we're trying to go in for. We have planned to do, we would like to, we don't have any plans yet, but we set up a kind of a office warehouse type site plan that would, that kind of fits the use currently. We get the fact that it's not part of the land use plan, and that's kind of when we want to have it. We understood that that's why staff recommends denial, but it's a conversation.
All right, hang on just a second. Sam, can you get this camera working for them so they can?
That would be great if you could do this. I was looking at it, but I didn't want.
Yeah, I didn't know how to do that.
I think we should just be able to.
Well, usually there's let me see if Brian is available for, it's not working? Nah, it's not working, sorry.
Okay, so could we just kind of.
We can just give y'all, kind of pass it around. Right here.
That's fine. I think the aerial gives us a pretty good view of what's out there.
Okay.
Yeah. So, it's not the most desirable area to put kind of what that corridor plan shows. We do show 3 buildings on there. That site plan, I'll be honest with y'all, I just kind of threw it together based on fire rules, based on kind of the detention. Those 2 things you see up there are the ponds. We're going to ask for 1 driveway, which is what TxDOT will allow us. We're not going to try to do anything else. But because we're under the pre-development, we kind of run into that issue. And then our water line up front isn't suitable, so we're going to have to do a fire pump with a storage tank. It's just the infrastructure isn't there for what they're asking, and there really isn't any plan in the future to have that, to provide sewer in that area. I know there's a sewer main extension that's happening further north to us, but really we're kind of we're at the boundary line for the city limits. So really, in the near decade, I don't see really the infrastructure going out there in order to provide the uses that that are based on that corridor plan. That's why we're kind of here. The reason that this works for us, or this development works, is because the utility, the sewer consumption or output is manageable with a septic system. If we were to do a 40,000 square foot retail center, even if you have 10 restaurants, you're talking about tons of gallons of sewer, which it wouldn't carry it. So therefore, if we were to get denied, and that's what the city wants, then really it's hindering the client, my client, the landowner, and really you'll never get it because the infrastructure isn't out there. And for a 3-acre property to be able to do a 2,500 linear foot sewer main extension, is just the economics will never work. And so then we would have to wait for a bond to come out or some kind of public improvement based on, with tax dollars for that to happen, which I don't believe is in the mix. But honestly, we want to just have a conversation with y'all, what y'all's thoughts. We're lenient, or we're not lenient, but we're willing to kind of commit to a certain facade. We're not trying to throw up just a metal building and make it look ugly. We're open to whatever you as a committee would like to see, but obviously it has to be within the realm of a use that we can do there without investing $2 million off site.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, it is 6:35. I'll open the floor for public comment. Anyone wishing to address the commission on this subject is welcome to step forward. Nobody? All right, it is still 6:35. And public comment is closed. Could we get the permitted uses of GB2 back up on the screen somewhere? There you go. Thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
All right, commissioners, comments, questions?
So
Mr.
I do
Wallace?
want to reiterate before discussion starts that we're here to discuss zoning, not just what they're proposing.
Correct.
So I just want to reiterate that.
That's usually my line, but thank you. Okay. Okay, Mr. Wallace, you wanted to say something?
Can you go to the screen of the uses allowed in GB with the specific use, please?
Yes.
Okay. So a question for the applicant. Is there, I mean, so y'all had speculated, I know we're not supposed to talk about the use. The only spec thing we've seen is the warehouse. Is there anything else that's really holding you back from seeking general business versus the specific GB2? Besides just trying to get as much entitlement in terms of land use?
Based on those uses.
These are the ones that are allowed in general business, but with a specific use permit versus GB2 where they're allowed by right. I think the ones, can you go back to the other screen, Daisy? I'm sorry. Yeah, those are the ones that are not allowed in GB. Because the issue I'm having a hang up on is I'm not necessarily opposed to the general business with the specific uses. It's the by right industrial uses. I know, but if you get GB2, then you're entitled to industrial uses by right.
Yeah, no, let me, hang on just a second here. Because our problem is, as Ms. Marquez pointed out, is we're not discussing your proposed project. We are
Correct.
discussing a zoning change. And if we were, well, we don't do it, we only recommend. But if GB2 were recommended or approved by city council, then any of this stuff, anything, could be built without any further requests or permissions, and that's always the hangup, okay? There is typically something or some things in this GB2 list that we don't want to see on Interstate 10. And unfortunately, that puts you in a bad spot. You know, we understand what you guys want to do. We understand that you're willing to work with us, but the bottom line is we're approving a zoning. And that opens that piece of property up to anything, well, not everything, but what's on this list, okay? So that's kind of,
So
that's
that-
what Ms. Marquez was
Can you come up to the mic? I'm sorry.
Based on that previous slide, I don't know if I can just move this back.
Yeah.
Really, the only thing that really fits the area that we could probably use would be the automotive repairs and service.
And this isn't this isn't the exhaustive list of things you can do in GB. This is just those general
Special
business.
use.
Correct.
Yes,
So, I mean, there's more that you can do in general business besides what's on the screen right now.
But
So,
I think general business is more for like a mercantile, isn't it, Daisy?
I mean,
It's more for commercial.
yeah. And so that was my point is,
Yeah.
why specifically are you seeking GB2?
But the buildings that we are building right now will
Yeah.
They
actually
don't-
work for commercial. Once we get the sewer, we'll take out the garage doors and put basically.
But the problem is
I
that they don't.
understand,
Yeah,
yeah, I
Correct.
understand, I understand. But I mean, he's asking why can't we do basically commercial and?
Well, no, it's not necessarily why can't you do commercial. What I'm trying to figure out is in your letter of intent, you said you're just trying to get essentially the most you can do with the land. And so,
The most would be, sorry to interrupt you, but
Yeah.
the most would be the commercial use that the city wants, which I would love. I would love to use commercial. Problem is the infrastructure isn't there. So I'm being penalized for commercial that I can't really
Okay.
do. And doing any of these, I have to build in a way that can be utilized in the future for commercial use without tearing the whole thing apart. So the best thing to do is to build a commercial, a quasi-commercial project that would serve in the interim on a septic tank that could be switched into commercial once the sewer is available. I mean, it's a very,
But-
it's a logical step forward.
so could general business exist off of the septic that they're saying that GB2 could?
So the property is not platted.
Yeah.
So I can't speak on whether engineer would support a septic waiver or not. That would come in during the platting process. But hypothetically and in theory, if they request a sewer waiver when the property is platted and it has GB zoning, engineering could hypothetically approve it.
Okay.
All right, well, we're straying off course.
Well, I'm not trying to stray off course. I think my intent was just to figure out,
So
know,
the septic
the end
is,
goal.
the septic, it has nothing to do with being commercial or industrial or anything
Yeah.
like that. It has everything to do with your outflow of the deal.
Yes.
Correct.
So any strip center, you're talking about 1,000 gallons a day to 1,500 gallons a day for one 20-foot restaurant on a strip. Because, like your regular restaurants do 4 EDUs at 300 gallons a day.
Yeah.
So that's 1,200. So that's just one tenant. So it's not feasible to have a septic system that, for the amount of spray area, it just doesn't work. We don't have enough room for it. That's why we would go for a lower use. And now I'm not going to try to sit here and come up with an excuse. Obviously, we're looking for this type of use because that's exactly what that area leases with. We feel, based on our research, that these buildings go up, we should be leased within 6 months, right? I mean, hell, we might be able to be leased before the construction even starts. That's why we're going for it, because out of everything out there, this is the more logical development based on infrastructure and based on market. Now, again, going back to commercial, if sewer were to be there, obviously per square foot, commercial rent's higher, so that's what he's saying. It would work out with a ton of visibility. It just isn't there. And so what I had explained to him before, and I know we're talking about the specific use now, but it's like we can come up with a way, I don't know, set up, I don't know if there's an avenue where we have some sort of PUD that that can be brought to you with certain regulations or anything. But at this point, a GB obviously will set some kind of value to that property. It's just now with that value, there's really nothing we can still
Right.
do. It's just more a thing on paper.
And
It goes back to it,
again, we understand that,
Yeah.
or at least I understand that, but the issue is not your project. The issue is whether or not GB2 zoning is appropriate. And this is the problem that we run into all the time. It's not about what you want to do with the property.
Yeah, we understand
It's
it.
whether or not we feel that GB2 is appropriate for that location. And what staff is telling us is it's not, because it doesn't fit with the plan. Now, well, I'm on a roll, so.
what, and if I could,
No, here's the problem, okay? We've got all this frontage out there on I-10, and we got plenty of water and electricity out there, but we have no sewer. And it's been that way since I moved to Schertz 35 years ago, okay? So we're holding on to this pipe dream that, we're going to get H-E-B and Best Buy and Outback Steakhouse and all of those kinds of things down there. Well, yeah, maybe, but how are we going to do that without sewer? And the city's got once again, one of my pet peeves is the city will not extend sewer lines. The developer, the builders have to do that. So we've got all this frontage out there sitting there just ready to go, and they can't do anything with it. Now, I have a question. Exactly where is this? This picture is not good enough for me to really know where this property is on I-10.
So this is a zoomed out map of the area, and it's right here.
Okay, but what are the boundaries there? Where's, is that 1518?
This is Trainer Hill, and this is 1518. So this is that
Okay.
abandoned gas station, and this is that other gas station at that corner.
Gotcha. Now, you
And
know,
the plant's over here.
you know, you can throw a rock and hit the new sewer plant from that piece of property. Okay?
That's
And-
something else is district road.
That was that's
Well, I'm not asking for input. I'm just, at this point, I'm venting, okay? So, you know, you gentlemen might as well just take a seat for the time being. It's just, you know, I've been in the city a long time. I've sat up here now for many years. And, yeah, it's, I just don't know how long we're going to, you know, we just had a big meeting about water and wastewater impact fees and you know, but again, we don't do infrastructure. Developers do infrastructure. And you look at this sliver of land here. So I don't know. And yeah, the land use plan came in and said that's what do we call it out there? A commercial corridor? What is it? Come up here and help me out again.
It's regional corridor.
Regional corridor, okay?
Yes, sir.
And yeah, you know, that sounds nice, but is that reality? Is that practical? That we hold out for that kind of stuff?
Well, the comp plan is meant for, you know, a couple years down the line, 20 to 40.
Yeah, and I'm here to tell you, in the 35 years I've lived here, that property has never changed. There's no sewer lines out there, and that, you know, I mean, how much longer? We're going to wait another 35 years? You know? So, yeah, I was thinking it was further west, because didn't we just down towards 1604, didn't we just rezone something down there to GB to allow that refrigerated truck trailer place to do their thing, you know? All right, I'm done. Who else wants to say something here?
I have a question. Whose CCN is this?
I cannot speak on that, sir. I wouldn't know.
I guess from a city standpoint, it doesn't fit in the future vision of the city. The city wants something other than industrial manufacturing, and that's what's on the other side of I-10. And I guess it's safe to say we don't want that type of development on the north side of I-10. We want something a little bit different to service the 2,000 or 3,000 homes that are going to be built there in the next couple of years. We've already got over 1,000 homes being built in the area. And there's absolutely no commercial in the area. So I'm waiting on some commercial development to come and service those homes out there. I don't see anything. I hope we see something, but that's the city's vision for this particular area. It's not a factory, it's not a manufacturing type place. It's more of something to service the community. My question on CCN makes a difference because you know, if there's no municipal sewer out there now, when is it going to be out there? Is the city going to build it? Is GV Sud going to build it? Who's going to service that? Because we've got a lift station being built less than a mile away. We have a wastewater plant less than a mile away. There's got to be some sort of infrastructure on the books ready to go to service this area. What are we going to get?
Sure. So let me offer this up, and we've had this conversation a couple times before. And again, I think we can certainly communicate this to council if P&Z's position is this, right? And so as Chairperson Outlaw stated, generally, Schertz and most other communities, we don't burden the current taxpayers, residents, and businesses to extend infrastructure so that that property is worth more and it's less expensive to develop. Now, we could, and we certainly do that some. At times, we will extend infrastructure for a variety of reasons. At times, we upsize infrastructure for the same reason. And so a policy direction you could give to council is you feel the city should extend infrastructure to the entire city and have the current taxpayers pay for that, current utility rate payers pay for that, so that we open up these areas for development, as opposed to what we do, which is when new development comes in, it increases it. And so the challenge here is, if you were going to do that, would this be the area? Would it be a different area to do that? And so, again, I think often what we run into, and this I'll get a little on my soapbox, is the timing. As Daisy said, the city's comp plan and our vision as a community is very much long-term. And so as Commissioner Outlaw, I assume will state, when he moved here, the community looked very different than it does today. It was much smaller. There were a lot of things that are here today that were not here when he arrived. But certainly it all hasn't developed fully in that time frame, right? We've seen the region change, and we've seen it change fairly rapidly relative to other areas. And so I think the question here that we've heard a lot, and this is often, is a timing issue. Property owner, I think, reasonably articulated, hey, with what's there today, with what the market is today, the GB2 gives them a wider range of options to develop that property. As the commission seems to note, once you grant this zoning, recommend to council and the zoning's granted, that zoning is in place forever and they can do every one of those uses that are there, whether it's what they intend to or not. Part of the challenge, I think Daisy articulated this, is as properties develop, it impacts what is likely to come in after that. So if you want to go GB2, you should recommend that. And then you might very likely, when people hear that, you get another GB2 application in. And then you get a light manufacturing request in, and it's just one more district up. And so the vision for that area then may end up being industrial. And again, you've heard me say this, there aren't right or wrongs to these things, they're just implications. And so if the vision of this is that we either don't think that this will set that in motion and we won't get more of those requests, then that's it. Or if that's the vision, then that's perfectly fine. It's not consistent with the comp plan, which again, the idea was more of a commercial type development. But again, the challenge often on these things is it's the timing of when properties to develop, right? And so I don't disagree. The infrastructure is not there today. The market's not there today. It may be 5 years down the road. And if, as a policy direction for the city, it's most important that everything develop for what it can develop today, then there's your answer, what you do, I think, on this zoning case and every other zoning case that comes in. But I would argue that when you look up and say, well, why don't we have this, that, or the other? It's because we made those decisions that have implications, right? That's the challenge. It's a tough one. It certainly is. But to me, I think if you go the GB2 here, what are you telling the next guy? And what are you telling the next guy? And down the road. And that may be fine. I mean that. So hopefully that sort of answers your question, Commissioner, is generally none of the entities, whether it's Green Valley, Schertz, other communities, say, we're going to go out and burden our current residents and businesses to extend infrastructure at no cost, because frankly, the infrastructure that we have today was extended by those developers as they came in, and that was factored in the price of the land, the price of the property, the price of the house.
Yes, what I meant to ask, and I apologize, how close is the new line to this property?
I don't know. I mean, it's not terribly far off. You can see the little parcel line, which is, I think, where that goes, but I believe it's a force main. So I think the problem is their ability to tie in to the force main between the lift station and the plant. I think the engineer is accurate. It's running a line down generally the frontage road. Okay, sorry, I'm looking for the engineer to nod. Sorry, I'm not sure. And so it's not about going up north, it's about heading over east. And so don't doubt that. As Daisy said, that there are waivers that can be granted, but again, it's a timing thing. Not every property is developable today. Can appreciate the property owner wanting that to be the case. There certainly are some of the uses in the GB that don't need as much sewer that a waiver might be appropriate for.
Well, there's a restaurant, well, there's a couple of restaurants there now and a convenience store and other stuff in there, so there is one restaurant over there. But anyway, yeah, I don't have enough to go against the wishes of the staff, so that's all I got.
So, I have a question. So, have there been conversations with the city and the homeowners for all of that property that's designated regional corridor? I guess I'm trying to understand if the city has a vision for what that area should look like and it supports the current zoning that's in place. Are the landowners aware of that? Like, have there been?
Some probably are, some probably are not, right? I mean, it's until you're prompted by something, you don't tend to go out and look this stuff up, right? I mean, it's the common thing I would say as an analogy is how many times in my career I've gotten a call from a homeowner who said, I moved into this, I paid more because it has this view of this great field behind me, and their bulldozers have shown up, and why didn't I know, right? I mean, that's right. Sort of the issue. So we go through the comp plan process to lay that vision out. But again, as you may remember from that process, it's competing visions, right? It's often from the property owner standpoint, reasonably enough, so what's the highest and best use? And from the city's standpoint, compatibility of uses, long-term sustainability to be a full community going forward. So there's a process by which that happens.
Yeah, I guess I'm just trying to understand that if we don't move with any intentionality on what our vision is for the city, how do we get there? I don't understand that part.
I would agree with you. If we don't move with intentionality, we're going all over the place, back and forth, up and down. As Daisy said, our comprehensive plan is our vision, and it sets forth that intentionality. Mm-hmm. And this area is not intended to be industrial.
Right.
That's our vision, right? Our vision for this area is much like this side of IH-35 up and down, right? Where we have residents in areas. Now we have some industrial kind of designations further down towards 1604, but that's the vision we've set out. And I think Daisy had laid out what that intentional decision that staff feels. We're not always right, but it's to follow the vision, which is the comp plan, which is the guide for who we want to be as a community down the road.
Yeah, it's tough. I just know that, even when it was originally laid out, comp plan, we had folks come in. We looked at a lot of pretty pictures, talked about what we wanted the city ultimately to look like, the types of services that we wanted made available to the folks that are up south. Is that south? Mm-hmm. Yeah, south. And I guess I'm a little perplexed by whose responsibility is it to, I guess, aggressively seek that? Like, have the conversations with the landowners, communicate what that vision is, reach out to retailers or developers on what the city would like developed there.
So I actually spoke with EDC about the comp plan land use designation and the zone change, and they confirmed that they would like it to be regional corridor, and they would like to see commercial in this area to serve all the residential that's coming in.
Okay, and so what are they doing about it?
Well, so
Are
let
we
me-
waiting for it to happen?
Sure. So part of it, yeah. I mean, and this is, let me go back to what I said.
Okay.
If the commission's view on things is we need to use current resident and business owners' tax dollars to make undeveloped land more valuable by extending infrastructure as people request it and provide incentives to lure businesses, that's certainly a way to go. Most folks say, look, I had to pay for my house or I had to pay for the land on my business, and in the cost went the cost of getting the infrastructure in.
sure.
So why am I paying for this, guys?
Yeah.
Now, again, let me give you an example. The city and EDC jointly do work to bring about development that benefits the city, right? We have a whole board,
Okay.
the SEDC, that's what the city has said is your focus. There is a revenue source for them. So again, to be clear, the commercial development that you see up on 35 by Evo, with the apartments and the retail development going in, the restaurants, right? So we have Portillo's coming in, we have Cava coming in, Chipotle, Panera, there's a spicy sandwich place.
Oh, Dave's Hot Chicken.
Dave's Hot Chicken, right? EDC has helped with infrastructure grants to bring that project about, right? So we use our influence, our dollars, to help bring that about.
Okay.
But let me be clear, not everybody who shows up to EDC and says, I want money to do this thing I want to do, gets a grant.
Right.
They make thoughtful decisions about what they do and what they don't do. And I think the applicant even said, there isn't a market right now for this thing that the city's vision in retail. And I would agree with that. There aren't the residents right out there yet to support this. It's premature. So again, it goes back to my point when I got up. A lot of this is a timing issue. Reasonably enough, the property owner wants to develop the property now. There isn't a market for the city's vision now. Even if we put in the infrastructure, there isn't a market for it yet. It will come down the road. So the question for you is it more important, the long-term vision of the community and the plan and how we get there, or is it what this individual property owner wants? Reasonably, I'm not knocking that. And then what the next property owner wants when they come in, and the next property owner when they come in. And so the challenge, I guess I'm a little bit, I'll say this is, Schertz is growing fairly rapidly. It's relatively speaking, it's growing fairly rapidly in terms of the number of single-family houses that come in every year, number of industrial development. You know, we tend to lag a little bit in office, we tend to lag a little bit in retail, but we have that coming in now. And what I'm getting the impression is that the commission generally feels you want the community to grow faster than it is now. And yet the irony is often we have groups of residents standing up, not quite screaming at you, but saying, why aren't you keeping up with the road system as it is? Right? And that's a bit of the challenge, I would say, with it. And so, yeah, that's part of it is, you know, there are areas of the community that are going to grow down the road because of where they're located. And you know, this is kind of that area, right?
Okay. And I think that answers, you know, the scenario regarding the development going on near Evo. That kind of answered the question. I am not proposing that the taxpayers pay for improvement of anyone's property ahead of time, just interested in what is actively being done for this community to look like the vision that was laid out and identified as regional corridor, right, as opposed to waiting for it to happen. I submit to you that if there were a grocery store there, there are a lot of residents in that area that wouldn't have to go to Converse or come down to Schertz here at 35 to go to the grocery store.
I would agree with you. And I would argue slightly counter to that if there was a market for a grocery store there today,
it'd already be there.
There would be a grocery store there today, right? H-E-B is not playing around. Now, the reality is I think they've got to plan a little ways down as these things kind of happen. But yeah, that's the flip side is, yeah, if there were a market or a grocery store, it'd be there today. And again, some of you have heard this, at times, particularly if you're of a certain age, you think about what grocery stores were you as a kid or growing up, right? They were much smaller. Grocery stores now are huge. I mean, think back how big H-E-Bs are now relative to probably the size of the grocery store when you were a kid. They're what, 4 times the size, maybe?
10 times.
And so that requires a huge, service area for it.
Okay.
So,
And it's not just Schertz. If anyone hasn't been south on 1518, south of I-10 in the last couple of years, you need to take a drive. Okay, you don't see it from the interstate because it's behind, but you go go over that little rise and down the other side, and there are houses everywhere in unincorporated Bear County. So it's not just Schertz that's developing out there. Daisy, what are the yellow stars on the map there?
So the yellow stars indicate where there's already GB zoned properties.
GB.
Yes, sir,
Okay.
correct.
Well, a couple things. Maybe it was the old comprehensive plan, but we used to have this thought along the interstates to where we kind of reserved the major intersections for the big retail commercial developments. And then in between, we had other stuff that we were going to fill in with, okay? And we applied that many months ago, probably last year, might even been the year before. Now, as you go north, you get up, where are they? I get all confused up there. I think they're north of Schwab. But you got all that office warehouse going in, and that required some rezoning. But again, the discussion was, we wanted to keep the intersections open for the commercial retail. So let me try one other approach. So I've zoomed in on not this photo, but your aerial. And on the corner there, that one gold star, I guess we'd classify that a convenience store with gas pumps. And that probably fits regional corridor. And then I'm not sure what's next to it anymore. There used to be a ham radio shop or a CB radio shop out there. And then as you come west, that one building is probably might be where Schwann's used to be, their distribution center. I don't know what the next 2 facilities are, but the one directly adjacent to their property, the property in discussion, in the back corner is a tire shop, and that little building in the front, of course, I haven't been out there in years, it used to be a Mexican restaurant. So, I'm not sure that GB2 is out of character with what's out there today.
yeah, Councilman, and let me, or Commissioner, that's what I would say. If your vision is whatever is out there today, that's what we want going forward, then you should recommend approval of this. And I mean that. That's not how we've traditionally looked at it here in Schertz. We said we get that things grow and change over time, and just because at some point this went in isn't the direction that we wanted to go. But certainly that's a way to do it.
I
right?
mean, short of taking a bulldozer out there and knocking all those buildings down, it's going to stay what it is. And so, and then if, I can look at the property behind it and I can, with some certainty, tell you that one day that'll be residential back there.
Well, I'm not sure. I mean, if we have industrial out there, I'm not sure we're necessarily going to get residential out there that the vision is. But again, it's perfectly reasonable that if our view of things is because of what's there today, things never change, and we should simply build on what's there, then you should probably say, well, why don't I give you industrial zoning and it gives you more uses. That's really the direction you should go if that's your vision. And so again, as we look at all of the things that have been around here a long time, and the vision is they should continue and expand, right? Then that's the way you should go. It's an imperfect system. We deal with things that are there and we respect their rights to continue to be there, right? But our vision may be different for things around it, and we understand that over time, as property owner said, property values change, and things that were there get bulldozed and get redeveloped as something else, right? But if we continue to grant zoning to get new industrial in, you're probably going to have less of that. It's just a different vision for the community.
Mr. James,
Yes, sir.
I think we've got it.
Okay.
I'm going to call the question. I think we've gotten everything we need to get to make a determination on this one.
A second.
All right, so who's running? No, shut up, Outlaw.
I make a recommendation to approve GB to PLZC 20250017.
I'm sorry, can you confirm, you said you're indicating GB or GB2 as presented?
GB.
I don't think we can do that.
You can't recommend that? I recommend denial of PLZC 20250017.
Okay, I have a motion to recommend denial. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second. Any further discussion or questions?
I think the applicant wanted to follow up, but
No, no.
Considerable amount. Utilizing
Again,
the last area.
no, sir, it's not about your project.
No, sir, I'm a commercial real estate broker, and I'm not talking about that project. I grew up on that intersection, and so we can reference the
Yeah.
overhead, or you can continue.
At this point, I don't think it's going to make any difference, okay? I really don't.
True, I think we're speaking in different terms.
And besides, the motion's been made and the discussion is up here on the dais. And unless one of the commissioners wants to hear what you have to say,
Proceed.
yeah, I'm open to hearing it.
all right, go ahead.
Okay, there was a aerial view up that showed the businesses that, thank you.
This one?
Yes, sir, perfect. The left star in the lower left corner from my side was referred to as, by planning, as the abandoned gas station.
Would you step into the mic?
Sure. The left star in the bottom left of the property, or the overhead there, is 1518 and I-10. That was referred to by planning as the abandoned gas station. The Trainer Hale and I-10 East corner is a gas station as well. I'm not certain that that is functioning, followed by, like you noted, the Schwann's facility, Girard Electric. AJ's Tire Shop is the neighbor of the subject property. And on the other side is something that bills itself as an RV park. I don't believe any of those conform to the future comprehensive plan. So is it intentional that the comprehensive plan, usually I've seen future land use plans rather than comprehensive, and they have a protocol when they don't conform with the current zoning, which right now the two are incongruent. So is there a protocol for the comprehensive plan to reconcile it with what's actually in place as zoning currently?
No, but you can come in and request an amendment to the comp plan if you want to. But, yeah, that convenience store with gas pumps, it's on again, off again. It seems like sometimes they're working, sometimes they're not. Apparently it's a lousy location. So thank you for your input, okay? But again, No, sir. No,
allowing me to
no,
use
no,
the
sir.
property in any regard.
We're not soliciting any more input.
It's not a solicitation, it's a.
No,
it's a
we're not.
rebuttal- It's a rebuttal to what he was talking about.
No, sir. A motion has been made, it's been seconded, okay? And the discussion is amongst the commissioners, not between you and me, okay?
Let me,
Now, no, Sam, what? Now what are you gonna, go ahead.
so like you said, a motion's been made, and just so y'all know, this is a recommendation to city council. So they're gonna present a recommendation, what they think. City council has the ultimate authority on the zoning action, okay? So this will go to city council in June, and they're the ones who will ultimately decide on how that goes. So there will be another opportunity to present your case at a later time.
All right, thank you, Sam. So, commissioners, do you have any more discussion or questions before we vote? All right. The motion and the second are to recommend denial of PLZC 2025-0017. Is that correct, John? Okay. So, an aye vote is to recommend denial. So please keep that in mind. An aye vote is to recommend denial. So if there's no further discussion, please cast your vote. Okay, I have 7 votes. You publish that vote, please. As 6 in favor and 1 opposed, that motion passes, and that recommendation will be made to City Council. Gentlemen, I'm sorry it was so complicated, and it's just the way we get wrapped around the axle sometimes. But again, as Sam pointed out, all we made tonight was a recommendation. This will be on the City Council agenda in the future. Do we have any idea when? What? I can't hear you.
Last statement, you said when, what?
I was asking if we knew when this was.
May 6th.
May
May 6th.
6th. Okay, thank you. All right, so that, I'm getting behind in my notes here. So that was 6 in favor, 1 opposed. All right, thank you. Gentlemen, thank you for presenting your case. No, sir. No, we're done with that. No. Mr. James will be more than happy to talk to you back there, okay? Okay, moving along, item number 6. 6A, request by commissioners to place items on future P&Z agenda. Anybody? Okay, I'd like to ask, I don't know, how long ago was it that I asked for a workshop, because it popped up again tonight, where we're talking about zoning, and somebody asked a question about sewer. And I asked for a workshop on what do we consider at what stage of development, and does it have to be there, and can't we rearrange that, based on what I heard at the planning conference. Are we making any headway on that? Or did somebody just throw it in the drawer?
So you're asking about an update about the workshop to do what? The sewer?
Okay. Right now, we do zoning, and then what, you do plating, and then you do site plan.
Yep.
And you do permits, I guess. Well, in each of those stages, certain things are considered. Traffic is not considered until when? Site plan?
We, based off of direction from council, we are now considering traffic during zoning actions.
Okay, but that's the kind of thing I was asking for, because
I gotcha.
Because up at the conference, I don't remember which city it was, they changed their whole zoning, their whole process, so that some of these things that were questioned later in the process were moved up to earlier in the process. And so what I asked for was a workshop and discussion about how we're doing things today, and what we might think about doing, whether we want to move on-site sewer from plating or from site plan up to, So I was just,
So if I can distill that down, we need a workshop, and I apologize we haven't addressed this sooner, but we want to reconsider certain criteria in zoning actions. Is that fair?
Well,
fair?
maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and I'll get with you offline and try to explain better what I was looking for, okay? That'll be all right?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay. So nobody else has anything okay. How about announcements? Anybody have anything? No? City staff, you have any announcements? Okay.
So y'all should have gotten an email about RSVPing to the volunteer banquet that is happening April 22nd. So if you do plan on attending and bringing a +1, please RSVP to Cherie.
All right. Thank you, Daisy. So, yeah, I wasn't sure what that was an invitation to, the way it's worded, and yeah, that was, No, it was mailed out. They sent it by mail.
Yeah, if you have further questions, you can email us at planning@schertz.com,
Yeah,
and we can help you do that.
yeah, I think it showed up in
Check your mailbox.
a gold envelope, I think it was in, so. No, it was in an envelope, so a gold envelope, I think. But yeah, if you didn't get one, give Cherie a call, or give one of the planning staff a call. It's their annual. The city has an annual volunteer appreciation dinner, and they've. Yeah, I don't know why they always pick my grandson's birthday, but they've been some pretty nifty ones. Okay, so let's see, where are we? See, item number 7, information available in your packet about our current projects and city council status update. And we're down to item number 8. It is 7:22, and this meeting's adjourned.